Good morning. Happy day 20. Just filling up my cup of coffee. I've been sitting knitting and listening to my audiobook. I'm listening to, I think it's called This Victorian Life. It was a recommendation on a knitting podcast. And it's really charming. I'll try and insert a little picture of the cover here, but I'm just enjoying a quiet little morning, drinking my coffee, knitting like I usually do, but for a little bit longer this time. And then I'm gonna have to get in the shower. My dad's coming to meet me at home at around 10, and then we're heading to Ottawa. So I got a couple questions last night. Maybe I'll get a couple more over the course of the day, and then I'll answer them a little bit later when I get home. So I'm looking forward to heading up to the big city, bring my dad to the yarn shop. I don't know if he's ever been in a yarn shop, so I can't wait to see his reaction. I always love bringing people to a yarn shop who've never been to one, and they're just like overwhelmed at all the yarn and the needles and the buttons and all the notions and the pattern books. It's so fun. And I've done it with my friend Connie. The first time I took her, she ended up buying yarn so I could make her something. So it's fun, and every time we go to a yarn shop together, she buys yarn for me to knit her something. So it's a good time. Anyways, have a good morning, and I will touch base a little bit later. My dad's almost here, and I am not ready, so now I have to rush. Me looking for the hat I want. Oh, maybe I'll just wear this one. It's full of holes. Oh well, maybe. I have to always root through this pile. Here's a quickie woolly check-in. I'm wearing my Winston pullover, which I will probably show you guys later. I'm wearing my This Way, That Way shawl, and I think this is the beret hat. It's a Brooklyn tweed design. It's made out of yarn that's discontinued. There's cashmere in here. It's really nice. Okay, gotta go. Salut! Dad, Janine, we're headed out. We're at my favorite restaurant in Ottawa. Woohoo!
J'étais occupé d'ouvrir la porte.
Ah ouais?
Débarrer la porte, et puis quand tu l'as fermée, t'as pas complètement fermé.
We're at the yarn shop now. Check. Small time.
Oh no!
Ottawa. Oui. Hein? Hi. C'est gros, hein?
Adult hat patterns. And then there's 3 binders
I'm just here for needles, actually.
that would, an accessory leaflet might have
Found some needles. Here's the giant shop. Dad's on his phone. He's always on his phone. What is this?
Louise, la femme
Mhm.
elle fait des affaires comme ça.
Oh, oui. Back home, it's almost 4 o'clock. I forgot to take out my garbage this morning though. So it smells a little bit weird in here. It's probably the chicken from the curry that I made the other day. So I'm gonna go put it out. And then I'm gonna sit on my arse. Maybe, probably for the rest of the day. But it was a nice time. And it's still early, and I get to relax for the rest of the night. I can do what I want. I might be able to knit. Who knows? Possibilities are endless. Apparently I forgot to take my garbage out a couple weeks ago too. I only put my garbage out every few weeks because I really don't make a lot of garbage. I recycle a lot, and anyway, so I must have forgotten because there's another bag in there. I also didn't wear any mittens today because I couldn't find the other one of any of these.
That another year has just raced on by, and it's already Christmas again. One of my absolute favorite times of the year. And so welcome to the Living Big in a Tiny House 2019 Christmas special.
That's quite the shirt. I wonder if those legs dangle. Interesting. Either way, that's one of my favorite shows. It's on YouTube. It's called Living Big in a Tiny House. And it's awesome. My friend Alex and I are obsessed with tiny homes. If only I could squeeze all my yarn into one of these tiny homes. And the host is so cute. I'm also diffusing some Thieves. It's a Young Living oil. It smells so good. It's like a little clover, cinnamon. It smells so good. And it's getting rid of the funky smell that I had. So, Sherry, if you're watching this, I'm using some Young Living. And Julie, I got it from my friend Julie, who is my Young Living oil dealer when I need stuff. I'm going to answer the first question I got yesterday. That question was from Alex. And she said, you're always planning another trip, so where are you off to next? And I'm not really sure. Other than Iqaluit for that contract, if things line up. That will be the next big place I go, I guess. I was hoping I could go back to Uganda this year. Would have been my third year in a row, but had to put a roof on the house. Shit happens. That's okay, but I also have... what's going on here? I have the type of job that, because we work shifts, we end up having a lot of time off. We work 12-hour shifts, and we end up having a lot of time off, so... I'm off a week in January, then I've got a week off in March, April, May, and June, so I will undoubtedly end up somewhere at some point. I'm just not sure where. People ask me all the time where I'm going next, and sometimes I just say, depends where the wind blows me. Leftover curry!
And they've been getting lots done, but also I've been able to take some time to chill out. I am so grateful that
I'm watching
I had the night
Vlogmas.
off last night. I got a lot of sleep, which was much needed.
It's getting long.
And I had a lovely slow morning this morning. I watched a little bit of the news and then I turned it off.
Joel, don't be a pest. You don't even watch this. You just watched it because Alex watched it last night. The next question I got was from Lorelei, and she asked for a good fingering weight single skein shawl pattern. And I think my favorite right now is the Sweet November shawl. Yep, that's the right side. So I made this. It's a triangular shawl, and I made this with the fringe using one skein of fingering weight yarn. It's a little bit shiny. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. But it's got some sparkle. And I dyed it, and I find it looks like, I don't know, like a northern light sky or a mermaid tail. I don't know. I dyed it and I like it, and I love this shawl and I wear it all the time. So it's the Sweet November. I'm pretty sure it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it uses, the pattern recommends, I think it's a DK or worsted weight, but I use fingering weight and it fits awesome and I love it.
Where it doesn't create a gather. So, yeah, I just had
This is happening.
careful with that. I don't know why.
I needed a little change of scenery. The window behind my head was getting annoying. It's my Sheldon spot on the couch. I always sit in the same spot. Everybody that comes over, they all know my spot on the couch. You don't sit in my spot. Anyway, Lorelei asked me what my favorite podcast was. And it's really hard to just pick one, right? I think the one I watch the most, or the most often, is probably the Stranded podcast. Amy, she's from Britain, England. Now she lives in Scotland. It's kind of cool. I love her podcast. She's really quirky, and I just love watching her. And she's a dyer, so that's kind of fun too. Another one that I love is the Wool Needles Hands. That's Taylor she's just outside of, what's that place? Vegas. I'm like, you know that place with all the lights? Anyway, she's just outside of Vegas. I love that she does some color clubs, and then she shows us her process for dyeing the colors. It's really fun, and she's adorable. I started watching The Grocery Girls. That was the first podcast I ever really loved. and ever really started to watch kind of on the regular. And I think the first month I watched the Grocery Girls, I spent $700 on yarn. That's a lot of yarn. I just was now, all of a sudden, I knew about all these dyers I'd never heard of and all this yarn I'd never heard of. So it just opened up this whole new world. And I spent a buttload of money that day. Or that month, sorry. Wool and Vine, I think a lot of people watch Wool and Vine because she's a dyer. And her videos are just really nice. The production of the videos are awesome. I love the Gentle Knitter that I watched yesterday. Because she's local. There's a whole bunch that I watch. I can't pick just one. Sorry. The last question I got was, I think it was worded, if there one thing you would want me to know about you before we meet for the first time to sit and knit. And that was from Lorelei. And the one thing you should really know about me if we ever meet to knit together is that this vlog and my podcast is really PG. I have a really bad potty mouth. I'm surprised I haven't like accidentally dropped an F-bomb or said something really inappropriate, because that's my norm. I'm just trying to keep it acceptable for most people's ears. I don't think any kids are really gonna watch this, but still, I don't want to offend anyone. I work with a bunch of men. I think my goal is just not to offend anyone, pretty much. So my friend Tony, my first and only ever podcast episode, my friend Tony watched it and he's like, I can't believe you didn't swear once. So I thought that was really funny. So that's the one thing you should know about me. Potty mouth. Inappropriate. Perhaps uncomfortable. But one of the goals of doing this Vlogmas was for me to get used to putting together videos and little effects and music and cutting and all that stuff. I have a hair stuck in my eyelash. Sorry. So that I can do podcasts just a little bit easier, a little bit quicker. Because after my first one, I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. It's time consuming. I was paranoid about how I looked, but after Vlogmas, like, who cares, right? You guys have seen me first thing in the morning, puffy eyes, lines in my face. Really, who cares? So I think it'll just be a little bit more doable now, thanks to having to do it for 25, maybe 26 or 27. Who knows? Days in a row. I've been working on the mittens. Let me show you. This is the mess that is the mittens right now. So I got my new needles. Oh, it's kind of a mess right now. I got the new needles today, and I put the needles on the knitting, and that's where we're at. It's really not much, but it's going. I'm not sure I'm gonna work on these all the time. I think I'll just do a couple rows, rounds, whatever, every day. And eventually they'll be done, but my hands just can't work with this yarn at this gauge for too long. I get sore, so it's gonna be time to take the cowl out again. It's getting pretty long. If I stood up and put it all the way to the floor, it would probably go up to my waist. So I'm gonna work on it some more. And what time is it? It's almost 8 o'clock. I don't really have to get up super early to leave for Toronto tomorrow for the Nutcracker. I'm so excited. And then I'll listen to my book on the way there. It's gonna be a really nice day. And the Toronto Christmas market, I can't wait. It's gonna be an overall awesome weekend. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I think I'm gonna sign off now and wish you all good night. And I will see you in the morning.